Hello and welcome to another Press Art Australia preview. Today we're talking about Dead Island 2, which, James, you have been playing a bit of. How are you finding the game so far, first and foremost?
Yeah, so the preview basically took us up to like a certain point in the game, which probably now that I've said it out loud doesn't help. But like I've played a good chunk of missions. I would say about a third of the game, I reckon. Um, it's pretty much like Dead Island 1, if you remember that. It's obviously things have come a long way since then, but so
Yeah, it
far...
looks way nicer looking in the footage.
Yeah, like when I say it's like Dead Island 1, I don't mean exactly. Like, it's definitely like a modern-looking version of Dead Island. Except this time it's not really an island, is it? It's a little bit
No.
different.
Yeah.
No.
Well, let me ask you about the setting, because it's set in LA, or Helle, as they refer to it on occasion.
Very
which I
funny.
really like. How is the new setting? How does it compare to what you used to? Have you enjoyed kind of poking about its world and exploring their take on LA?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's a really good setting. I know that it's probably not as, like exotic, I guess, as whatever the hell Dead Island 1 was going for. But I do think it is different enough to kind of like justify its own existence. And I think, obviously, with a lot of the writing being set in LA and Hollywood, they can have a lot of fun with a lot of movie references, which there are a lot of peppered throughout. Even the quest names, a lot of them are like plays on famous movie names. Yeah, overall, I think the setting is really good, and even the maps, they've done a good job of bringing that setting to life and kind of making it permeates like everything about the game. Like, you pull up a map of Hollywood, and it's like a map to a celebrity's house, like one you'd buy.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like that's the kind of look of it all.
Yeah. That all seems very in keeping with the tone that I remember from Dead Island game. From Dead Island.
Yeah, like I'd say overall, it is definitely funnier than the first game and a lot more tongue-in-cheek compared to the first game. And you can tell that just by looking at the trailers and stuff. I remember that first Dead Island trailer that came out. I'm sure we all remember it. The one with the kid and the parent and stuff. It was very like serious and somber. But the vibe with this one they're going for is definitely more just go out there and kill shit and have fun.
Yeah.
Which obviously has its pluses and minuses in terms of how things progress. But overall, like, it is definitely a much lighter affair than, I guess, any zombie game that I've played in a while. Especially coming off, say, stuff that's a lot more grim, like, say, Last of Us, where it is very depressing, like the world that you live in and the interactions that people have and stuff. Whereas this is definitely just funnier, I guess.
Yeah, playing Dead Island in the past and Dying Light too. Like, me and my mates, kind of like the story was taking a back seat. It was just like us kind of going about this cooperative zombie slaying escapade, and having fun with that. What has the core progression of the game been like? Have you been able to kind of just explore the world and pick up side quests, or has there been more of a kind of linear progression to it?
So it's basically similar to most open world games that you've played before. Like, there's main story missions, and as you're walking through that world, there are places where you can pick up side quests as well. As an example, I was running through one area, and you can hear like a voice screaming at you from an intercom. Like, they're locked inside their own house, and they're trying to get people to like pay attention to them. So you go up to the intercom, speak to it. It gives you a side quest that you can do if you want, but you don't have to. So it is very much similar to, say, Dead Island, Borderlands, all of those kinds of games where you do have these main story missions that have a bit more production value to them. They've got a bit more, like, they've got cutscenes and stuff before and after them. And then the side missions are more just go save this person or defend this person, which is, like, I think a lot of people can appreciate that structure, I guess, in their open world games. But I guess, like, be warned, it is very similar to pretty much every open world game of the last 10 years, which like isn't a bad thing, but like I know that like some people are getting a little bit tired of that. So
yeah, are they like, I think in the trailer they just put out, I did see like you talking to an NPC through an intercom, and I didn't really watch the whole thing. Is it like, are there actual NPCs in the game? Like, are there like side characters and stuff that you meet, or is it
yeah,
just
there
all,
are.
like...
I don't think there's going to be any that people will like super memorable. Like
Okay.
one of them is like a clear Hugh Hefner type. Do you know what I mean? Like it's all these kind of stereotypes that you would associate with Hollywood, good and bad, that pop up throughout. Yeah, like it's not stuff like. I mean, this is probably a really bad example, but I feel like everybody knows who like Herc is. Is it Herc from Far Cry or Hunk? I can't remember what his name is now.
Yeah.
Ironically, but like I don't think there's going to be any characters like that throughout. I'm not
Right.
feeling that at the moment. But going back just quickly, I do think in terms of gameplay progression, the story missions and such, there are definitely like key moments where, say, like as an example, there's one where you crashing what obviously was a wedding, and like the big bad guy in that is like this buff zombie that was dressed as a bride. And while you're fighting them, like that's an enemy type that'll appear later on, but you fight the first one as like a boss per se.
Okay.
And like while you're fighting that, it's playing a song. I can't remember. It's a licensed song. I think it's Marvin Gaye from memory, like Bad Wedding or something like that. I can't remember. I feel like I've got the wrong artist, but like there's a lot of licensed music too. I probably should mention. And you kind of use that to good effect. Yeah.
Does it have like the playable characters? Are they? Is it like the first in that they kind of have personalities of their own, and there's a roster to pick from?
Yeah.
can't
So
recall.
at the beginning, you're all on a plane leaving LA. I think. It's been a while since I played it, but you're leaving LA, and then as the plane's crashing, you get to pick your character, and each of those characters has inherent skills, so skills that they've permanently got.
Yeah.
And different like stats, so like some have better agility, some have better like stamina, all that kind of stuff. So from a gameplay perspective, they're all quite different. Story wise, I was actually surprised, to be honest, that story wise they actually do have dialogue and speak to the characters. Like I mean, it's very clearly like you can tell when they've said, okay, let's put this same style of line here, you know, for each of the 5 or 6 characters. Like you can definitely feel it's been chopped up, but like it still works. Like the character says stuff, the NPC will say stuff back to you. So yeah, like they're completely voiced, and story wise they definitely have their own, I guess, like personalities and identities and stuff, but they don't have different motivations. Like they all just want to get out, which I guess makes sense given the situation. Like no one's going to be like, I just want to stay here and start a shop or something. I don't know. But like,
Being
it's
a vendor in
definitely
the
like,
zombie apocalypse can be lucrative. It makes sense.
yeah. Like I think the one thing I guess I'm trying to say is I don't think I would finish this and then want to play it again with another character. Like I don't think enough changes. There's some dialogue, yes, but like overall, I think it's definitely pick one that fits your play style to start off with, and then just go from there. Like I don't think I would stress too much.
This to like Dying Light 2, because I think I spoke about that and how it took like 3 or 4 hours to get all the traversal stuff and really open up. And the reason why I was excited for this, I can't remember if when I played it before it was announced, like the start of the game or what, but did you play the start for this preview? Was it like we just chuck? Okay,
It was literally
like, What excited me about sort of Dead Island 2, like after playing the original, was like it was just you jumped in and like it wasn't a 10, but it was like a fun time in terms of just like taking down zombies from the get-go. Is that similar here? Like when you say open world, I guess, does it feel open world in a way that like it's fun to just go through and smash zombies right from the get-go? Or when I hear open world, like I instantly worry, okay, it's going to take 2 or 3 hours to actually get through to like the title screen, even if there's not a title screen, for instance.
Yeah, I think with this, like it's not like Dying Light, in a lot of ways, like for better or for worse. Like there's no traversal options, at least in the preview, that you even have to unlock. So, like, I mean, a cynic would probably say, like, yeah, that means that it's just simple and boring. But, like, it also does mean that from the beginning you do have everything you pretty much have. Like, you unlock a few skills throughout the bit that I played, and you can equip them and stuff, like, such as the drop kick, which is, like, famous in these games. There's a dodge. There's, like, a block. But overall, like, everything is given to you pretty quickly. I didn't ever once kind of feel like just let me get through it to to just get to the open world. Like, it definitely lets you. There's like a little bit at the beginning to you kind of set up your characters and stuff. But overall, like, I think it does open up a little bit earlier than most of these other games that we play. But the movement system is definitely smaller scale than Dying Light. Like, there's no real like parkouring and stuff. It doesn't really even attempt to be like Dying Light. It is definitely it feels like Dead Island. I'm not even gonna be like it does what Dying Light did. It really doesn't. It's very much a sequel to Dead Island. Like, first and foremost.
I feel like it takes like a different pace. I mean, like, what I was trying to remember like the Dead Island games that I had played, and I played both that and Riptide, both the original and Riptide. I feel like the combat takes more of a front seat over, say, the kind of parkour and the traversal. Not to say that there isn't good combat in Dying Light 2, there is, but how do the weapons kind of feature in this? So were they doing anything equally as outlandish, kind of taking it up a notch in terms of the modifications? Because I feel like that's where Dead Island really shone.
Yeah, and once again, it is very similar to the first game. Like, there's not a lot here that's being done that's new. I know we're going to talk about Flesh in a second, like the system.
Very excited. I was going to ask about that.
That is definitely probably the highlight. But in terms of the melee combat and stuff, it is very similar in that, you just hit things, they react, and it's fun in the way that they react. Like, that's where most of it comes, where you like hit something with a golf club and they might go flying. But yeah, it is very similar in terms of, like, you can cut things to make them bleed, or you can, like, hit them with something blunt to break their limbs. Like, it's very similar to the first Dying Light. Not Dying Light, Dead Island. But yeah, there's
getting them more confused now.
The modification system is also quite similar. Like, you can imbue something with electricity, so it can do electrical damage. Just it is pretty much you really do know what to expect. It doesn't do a lot new yet, at least in the preview period. Maybe it will introduce some new stuff later. But yeah, overall, it does feel like just like I said, a very
it sounds like if you
game.
liked Dead Island, you very much kind of know what to expect, and it's just kind of bringing that into a more modern package, I suppose.
And that's the thing. Like, I do hear a lot of people who didn't like the parkouring and the Dying Light. Like, I loved that in Dying Light. Like, I thought that was fantastic. But
just
like, this. Oh yeah, go
quickly. Like, guns. I think we spoke about like how there weren't guns in Dying Light 2 at all. And like, do you feel like they were enjoyable in this from what you played? Like, did it make you think back to the not being?
I haven't had a gun yet. So
okay,
are there guns? Because I haven't experienced.
Apparently there are. Yeah.
I think I used them. We would have used them.
Did
in our
I use one?
I remember
pretty
using
sure.
them actually. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I haven't actually got guns yet in my in the bit that
in addition to a preview, they put out an extended gameplay reveal, and there is like a revolver in that.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So a lot of weapons, like a lot of different weapons, like to hit things with, but no guns. But I only did. I think I had 4 side quests to do or to choose from. I only did I think I did 2, and then like the 10 or so main missions. But yeah, no guns. You can throw shit. Like, if you want to throw a hammer at someone, like, that's just as good as a gun in my eyes. But like, yeah, I did not get to guns in my preview at all.
Like, admittedly, that's where like I've had fun with Dead Island in the past. Is me and the 3 guys I was playing with all picking up an oar each and just paddling zombies to death. Like, we just kind of talked a load of shit as we did. But yeah, I'd very much expect Dead Island 2 to be much of the same. None of what you've said so far kind of surprised me, I suppose. You did mention the Flesh system, though. Could you explain what that is and, why it's such a highlight?
It's just magic, honestly. If I had to... I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, I don't believe this. But then when I was playing it, the first time I realized when I was playing this game is about how cool the Flesh system is. So I don't know what it stands for. Someone can probably fill me in. But I think
it does stand for something.
Yeah, it does. It's FLESH. It's got something.
Thanks for spelling out Flesh for me.
No. Don't be rude, Kieran. Anyway. So the Flesh system is basically the damage system, I guess. It shows how the damage like appears on zombies and such. So like when you slash something, it actually slashes. When you hit something, it'll actually break. Like it's this it's a really cool system. Like, I feel like it's definitely the highlight of the game for me. I've never seen something like this in a game. If you, as an example, the first time I kind of realized it was cool was when I had no weapons left. So I just started punching this zombie in the face with my fists, and like each hit like took off a different bit of skin eventually until you get to bone, and like the eyes are dangling out and like the jaw falls off, but then I got pushed back and then like the jaw was still dangling. Do you know what I mean? Like it's really cool damage. Like like I don't know how to describe it.
That sounds like an amazing like technical.
Well, they've obviously built like it's kind of like Resi 7 kind of did this where like they have like the zombie and then they build the bone, the muscle, and all that kind of stuff. So each shot kind of exposes like a new texture or something. But you can literally like sounds a bit weird and I apologize, but like on Dead Zombies I started testing out the system to see how far you can go, and you can literally like say slash somebody's skin until you see their rib cage, and then when you start hitting it with something else, you can see the organs like rattle around inside the rib cage. Like it's really there's a lot of like detail there that I don't know if I necessarily need, but like it's a cool touch it's something different that I don't think I've seen in a zombie game before, especially where there are so many zombie games. But even like it works in a good way. Like if you keep slashing at a leg, you will eventually destroy it. You know what I mean? And then they can't chase after you if they're a faster zombie or something.
I feel like
it's
if
a cool
gore
system.
is your cup of tea, like it's hard to beat a Dead Island
like
game.
not
like
as wet
in some of the
as
footage. I
Resident
just saw like
Evil.
someone.
Like I know we all value wetness, but like not as wet as Resident Evil, but still pretty cool. Like in the heat of the moment to be able to see all this damage that you're doing, like actually in real time.
Yeah, wow. Flesh, by the way, stands for Fully Locational Evisceration System for Humanoids.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that they've got that down to a T, really.
They've nailed that.
Yeah, chuck flesh in every game, I reckon, even Animal Crossing. But yeah, like, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a really good system. It doesn't gameplay wise, it adds a little bit. Like I just said, you know, you can disable limbs that way using that system. It just makes everything feel a little bit realer.
Yeah.
It's just really
And
cool
I
to
feel
be able to like
it adds to the kind of playgroundy nature of it a little bit. Like it encourages you to experiment with different kind of weapons and styles of combat.
just to see what stuff does, like, you know.
Yeah.
But like I said, like when you just have like you start hitting something and you see its eyes literally hanging out of the head or like the jaw dangling, like it's really really cool detail that you don't really get in other games.
Yeah. How like, do you have many other abilities outside of the weapons? Do you have any kind of other power-ups? Like how do the physical traits or character skills kind of factor in?
So I think the other thing that in this game that is like kind of the thing that they're pushing a lot is the skill system. It looks like those trading cards you used to get back in the 90s, like odd bods and pogs and stuff. Like I don't know if you got is pogs, was that I'm talking Tarzos? Remember Tarzos?
Oh, yep. Yeah, I'm
Tarzos.
with you.
Yeah. So like they've got like cool artwork on them and you equip them and they give you, say, one might be like every time you block you receive health, or every time you do a counter you do more damage in the next 10 hits or something. It's a cool, okay system. I don't think you have to interact with it much if you don't want to. A lot of it is, yeah, you kind of, the idea is, I guess, to find the cards that work best with your character's innate skills and go from there. But once I kind of found the 6 or so that I really liked, I was like, cool, I don't really need to change this again. Like you definitely... Right. You can definitely like kind of nail. I mean, this might change in the final game. It's early days, like I said, probably about 33% through. But yeah, you can really nail down and like carve out your build pretty early on.
Nice. Well, thank you, James, for taking us through your preview of Dying Light 2. Looking forward to the eventual review of nearer to the game's release. One I'm personally excited for, eager to jump back into the world, the crazy world that is a Dead Island game. But yeah, we'll stay tuned.
Yeah,
no probs. Do I say bye?
I never know what you